I'm living testimony that one person can make a difference. And if I do anything while I'm still alive on this earth, it's to give anyone the belief that they too can make a difference, whether it's Sparkle, whether it's another charity, even if it's at home. And I hope that the more I keep sharing it, the more people will feel encouraged to be able to talk about it.
Hey, my name is Lisa Hugo, and I'm obsessed with helping other people find and develop their voices so they can go out and take on the world, be seen as an authority, expert, and speak their truth with utmost confidence because they know that what they have to share will connect with their audience and make a difference. I studied performing arts and spent 20 years of my career traveling the world as a professional singer-songwriter. I teach you the secrets to speak up and be heard, overcome your fears, to build your speaking skills, and learn how you can use your skills to make a change both in your own life and the lives of others. This is your one-stop shop for all things confident speaking. This is Impact Through Voice. Well, welcome back to the Impact Through Voice podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Hugo, and today I'm joined in the studio by Sarah Brook. Now, Sarah is the CEO and founder of the Sparkle Foundation, which is the fastest growing charity for Africa in the UAE. And they are obviously helping children in Africa and in particular in Malawi. So I've been really excited to get you on the show. Welcome, Sarah.
Thank you so much. Nice to be here.
Now, I've been excited for more than one reason to have you on the show. One, because I think more people need to know about what you're doing and to hear the work that you're doing and see, how they could contribute. But also because you're using your voice to make a difference in the lives of others. And that's what the Impact Through Voice podcast is all about, is empowering people to use their voices, but also inspiring them with other people who are out there using their voices and making a difference. So I'm very excited to have you here.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm obviously doing something right if I've ended up here in the podcast that's helping people use their voice. So whatever way I can to get the message out there. So thank you.
So you have a very inspiring but also courageous story behind you. And I think we have to go back to that story and find out, how did it all start for you? I know you received some money through an inheritance, and then you decided, I'm going to travel, and you ended up in Malawi. Tell us how that all came about and that story that then evolved from there.
So yeah, my grandfather passed away, left me some money, and I said to my parents, I want to travel. And they're like, okay, probably thinking I was off on a standard gap year, Australia, New Zealand, Thailand, wherever people go. I was like, I think I want to do something where I learn about the world. I closed my eyes and pointed at a map and said, let's fate decide where I'm going to end up. And my finger landed on Malawi. And I was like, okay, where's that? Africa. Also, I found a friend at school that had an auntie that lived there. I said to mum and dad, I am off to Africa. I'm going to Malawi. Okay, sure, yep, that's where I want to go. So went there to volunteer in an orphanage, spent 6 weeks pretty much there initially. And after those 6 weeks was eating too much of the local food. Got a twist in my bowel. I was too polite to say to the lady I was staying with, my stomach's really not agreeing with this, and just kept eating it. Should have stopped, didn't stop. Rushed to the hospital unconscious, and they said they need to operate, but there was a 96% chance of HIV. No sterile equipment. The order hadn't come in from America, and the doctor said, never done the surgery before, but I'm prepared to give it a go. I was grateful I was unconscious, to be honest, because I had no idea. But my poor friend, he was like, what's the other choice? They said, go to a private hospital 2 hours away, but she might die before she gets there. And he said, God, I can't even imagine what was going through his mind. And he said, I think I'd rather take that chance. So he did. He flagged down a car, put me in the back of it. They gave me an epidural because that was the only painkiller that they had, and sent me on my way. And went to the hospital, had the surgery, woke up, and probably 3 weeks later, he came to visit me. And he's like, Sarah, when you were in the local hospital, there were 300 people waiting in that queue to see the one doctor. And when they saw you, because you're white, they basically said you should be seen first. And you were the doctor for 2.5 hours. When you came out, some of the people in the queue, who were children, had died. And I just remember laying there in the bed thinking, my God, the pigmentation in my skin has kept me alive, and how can I live in a world where that is the case? And I was like, I need to do something about it, and what can I do about it? And I've been born into privilege, and rather than shying away from the fact that I have got a privilege, let's use, as you said, my voice to make sure I give other people the opportunity to be heard. And that's how it started. And I made a commitment. I want to make a difference to at least one child's life, with no idea what that would look like. And said, this is what I'm going to do, one child. And then the rest is history. 14 years later, we're now 15,000 children.
That's amazing. And credit to you then for using that opportunity, because I think many people say they're going to do something, but they don't actually take the action. They don't follow through on the things that they say they're going to do. I'm going to make a difference, but you've really lived it.
Yeah, I think when something like that happens to you and you have this like moment where I am alive because somebody lost their life or thought my life was more important, you can't ever look at the world in the same way, because what warranted a mother to say that white person there deserves to be saved over my child? And I will never understand that. And from that point on, I felt that I felt guilt. Truthfully, I felt guilt first of, well, why is it, I won the geographic lottery being born in the UK, and because of the fact I've got white skin. Had I not, I would be dead. And then it's like, okay, I'm not dead. What have I got within my tools, skill set, resource to be able to make sure that same situation doesn't happen again? Yeah. And there was never a chance, and anyone who knows me will say this, if I say I'm going to do something, I'm doing it. And if someone tells me I'm not going to be able to do it, it's even more, I'm going to prove everyone wrong and do it.
So you're taking on the challenge. You always take on the challenge. Yeah. But you spent 6 weeks then prior to this life-death experience with the people in Malawi, in an orphanage, you said.
Yes.
There must have been other things as well. I know this experience is incredibly life-changing and it's huge, of you being singled out. But there must have been other things that you experienced in living with and amongst the people. They said, I need to also make a difference in their lives, whether it's education, whether it's medical, whether it's, I don't know, what did you see and experience?
Yeah, it's funny you bring this up, because I'm actually writing a book at the moment, and the person that's helped me write the book is asking me these questions and said, was there something when you were a child that made you want to go to Malawi, and did you travel as a child to countries where you witnessed things like this? And it actually brought me back to my childhood, and I think I was overweight as a child, and I played a lot of sport, and what I found is that when I went for trials for things, I was judged by how I looked. And I remember so many times people saying, well, she's never going to be any good, she's overweight, oh, she's at the wrong sport, this isn't this. And it only made me feel like I'm going to prove people wrong. And I think what it's internally done to me is made me feel that I don't want other people to be put off or pushed down and not have a voice or an opportunity to prove who they are. And I think when I got to Malawi the first time, I saw these children. They were so bright. They were so just wanted to be loved. And I was like, you just need a chance. That is all you need. This isn't a case, and I really have this big problem about charity, is that like, oh, Africa needs to be saved. Africa does not need to be saved. Like, we need to learn so many lessons from, Africa as a continent, but all the countries are very, very different, and the resources they've got, the entrepreneurs that are in there. And actually, if we can change this mindset of what we're doing, these young children, if they were just given a chance, the world would be a very different place. And for me, that's what I saw. And I saw it's just opportunity. That's the only difference. And how can I do anything to give them? No, I will not be able to give them the same opportunity that I was born into, because it's not practical unless I flew everyone, to the UK, which is not sustainable. But what can we do to help get them to where they need to be able to be heard, to be seen? And I think that was kind of the driving force in those 6 weeks. I realised how fortunate I was, how privileged I was, and then the life-death experience was just the icing on the cake. And I've always had a hunger for wanting to give people a voice, truthfully. I said to my parents before I didn't want to go to university, there was a show in the UK. It's a lady called Trisha Goddard, and she had this like chat show with all people's problems. And I remember saying as a young child to my mum and dad, I want to hear people's problems and give people a platform to be able to speak about their issues. And then I want to go to war-torn zones, and I want to do things like this and report back on things people don't want to see. And that led me into journalism and then do my stuff at the BBC. And it's funny, it's coming full circle now, because I went to Malawi, saw what I saw, and now 14 years later I am reporting back on some of the hardest situations in the world.
Wow. So you set up the Sparkle Foundation. When did that sort of begin?
It depends so what you want to call a begin, because obviously I had this moment when I was 18, went back at 21 with my mum. She said, you're not going by yourself, you can't get ill again. And it was a big step for her as well. Anyone that knows my mum, we're very different.
Right.
I don't want to say she's princessy, but I can rough it at any situation. But she was older and she was like, oh, is there a hotel nearby? I was like, oh, mum, it's not quite like that. And she came and brilliant, took her into the village, met everybody. And I made a commitment, I'll build a nursery school for everybody. In 2012, we went and built it. My brothers came, we handed it over, and I thought I'd done my bit. Went back a year later, everything had been taken. No roof, no iron sheets, no toys. Rang my parents, and I was like, everyone that invested in my 21st birthday party and me, and now it's gone. What do I say? The shame. My dad was like, oh, it's Africa, that's corruption. And I was like, no. That's a 21-year-old with no knowledge of the sector, building something from a position of privilege. This whole white saviour, I think I know what's best, this is what I believe from the education I've got, and walked away without even thinking about the sustainability of it. I was like, what's the average life expectancy of a charity in Malawi? 2 years. I was like, I can't be another statistic. Let me go and learn best practice in the sector, come back and change it. And so I went and did that for a year, volunteered about 13 charities around the world, and then went to the UK government and said, this is my idea, this is what I want to do. And they pretty much laughed at me and said, that's never going to happen. I was like,
so most people would be saying, okay, I've done my bit, I've tried.
Yeah, I tried. No. I was like, where can I go to make this? I saw an advert on the TV, Dubai, the land of opportunity, and I had people here, so I was like, okay, I'm going to go to Dubai. Came for 3 years, earning the tax-free salary, meant I could send money across to Malawi, and I was just funding it, travelling back and forth. So when you say, where did Sparkle start? It was going, but it wasn't official, if you know what I mean.
Right.
And then in 2015, another light bulb moment, holding the mic for Elon Musk in Burj Khalifa, launching Tesla here in the region. Told him, this is how I want to do charity, you know, my heart lies here. He said, oh, make money first and then do charity afterwards, and that's the best way to contribute. And that night we lost a child from diarrhea, and I had I remember from school, like a periodic table looking like of all the pictures of all the children we were supporting, and I remember having to cross the child off, and then we had a waiting list and sort of replace, and I was like, how can I be with the world's richest man in the morning, afternoon, evening, and then by the time I've gone home we've lost a child from something like diarrhea? I was like, where is the justice in the world? And I was like, I can either stay in Dubai and keep making rich people richer here with the job that I was doing, or I can go and be on the ground where my heart feels fulfilled, I can understand and learn. And that's when I then quit the job and moved to Malawi full time. So depending on which part of the story you say, when did Sparkle start? 2015, we registered as a charity in the UK. I moved to Malawi full time, learnt the language, built a house in the village, and was very much living like a Malawian. Truthfully, I wanted to understand the culture. I wanted to fit in. I wanted to be accepted. I didn't felt I belonged in the UK. All my friends were just, you know, having a good time, their salaries, and then going out to the pubs at the weekend and doing what they do. No problem, but that wasn't me. And then I came here and everyone was on the brunches, the best life, the cars, and I was like, that's not me either. So then when I got to Malawi, it genuinely felt like home. It was like real life, real people. Unfortunately, my health didn't enable me to stay for as long as what I'd wanted to, but that's when Sparkle started to really gain momentum.
Yeah, you've been through quite some health issues.
Yeah, I think 43 times now I've been hospitalised in my 34 years.
Well, that's dedication and commitment to something you really, really believe in.
Yeah, I mean, I'm lucky, you know, I get to go to hospital, I get access to healthcare.
There we go.
So that's the reality. You know, I wouldn't be sat here, again, back to the constant reminder. Only in November, I had malaria in Malawi. I was in hospital there, and they wanted to keep me, and they said, there's 10 volunteers coming back to Dubai, and they said, we'll bring you back. And if I hadn't been the person I am and hadn't had the health insurance, the access here, I couldn't have made that journey. And then I ended up for a week in Parkview here. And the contrast, you know, didn't even have a bed for people staying with you. Whereas in Malawi, the drips were just, I mean, it was a complete nightmare. And that's a private hospital in Malawi.
Wow.
And the contrast, it's like, okay, yeah, over 40 times in hospital, but think the access that I've had, comparison, that's probably 40 lives that would have been lost if they'd been anywhere else in the world.
So where does the name Sparkle come from?
So basically, my parents, I've got 2 older brothers. My mum had a few miscarriages in between, and they're 6 or 7 years older than me. So I was fertility baby, the wanted child, as my brothers always teased me. And when I was born, I had a spasm in the scales and sat up and apparently tried to grab the midwife's ring, and she'd got engaged the night before and had a big rock diamond on it and said, wow, this child's trying to get something. She really likes things that sparkle. So my dad told me, oh, you like things that sparkle? I was like, okay, if I ever have a baby, I'm going to call it Sparkle. Wow. Not had the baby, had the charity. And it's so fitting because actually anyone that goes to Sparkle or is a part of Sparkle, you just feel that.
It fits.
It fits. I didn't know it at the time, but it really fits.
So I saw in 2016, you had the opportunity to do a TED Talk. Now, TED Talks or TEDx Talks, doesn't matter. They have they are a great opportunity to reach more people and have your story heard. And also TED Talks, they just live on and on and on. People will come back. You may not like it, but they're going to keep coming back and seeing that. And so how was that for you? And how did you get the opportunity first?
I think somebody heard about me here in the UAE. So as we know, the power of people here in Dubai, one person leads to another, and that's how Sparkle has been a success from human referral, no big budgeting campaign. And I think someone said, oh, you'd be good. I went. I honestly didn't know what to expect. I was not in the world of like as a motivational speaker, inspirational, and they said, oh, you got 10 minutes, prepare something. I look back now, and truthfully, if I'm being completely honest, I dream about doing another TED Talk, because that one, A, I've come a long way from a speaking perspective. B, I look completely different, and just even how I carry myself. But it's a nice reminder to me of actually how far I've come. And I remember in that moment thinking, okay, I see these big TED Talks and now I'm doing one. Is this a chance for a platform to share the voice? And I think the impact from that, truthfully, was more just she's legit. Like, she's done a TED Talk, she must actually be somebody, which is an interesting dynamic, because I think people can tell me every single day that I'm inspirational and I'm amazing, but it's something inside that you need to feel. And I think as my journey's gone on, it's no longer about me as a leader, like where I get my joy, and the inspiration is watching the team, watching the children, watching the people grow from strength to strength and be the leaders that they were born to be. So, but Sparkle wouldn't be Sparkle if there wasn't you to start it off, and if you hadn't had those experiences in the first place, maybe you might have still had that desire to put into it, but it wouldn't have been that same drive. And so your stories are really important, because that's what fuels. And what I also believe is that stories connect emotionally with people. And as much as you might say it's not about me, but that those stories and those experiences that you've lived through and you've had, that's what draws people in, and they see the real situation because of how you can tell it through your own personal experience and what you've lived through. And so people feel that and they think, I need to make a difference. I felt that knowing your story. And I said, how can I help? Yeah, I mean, it's hard. I can't deny. I think it's like chicken and egg situation, that if I stop and start ever thinking, like, I don't want to say settle, but in my own mind of, oh, look what I've managed to achieve, I always worry that, oh, that's the bar that's been then drawn. And I think for the type of personality I am, and for what I feel I've been called to do on this earth, I'm nowhere near finished with what I want to do. So that almost stops it from ever getting to me, or thinking, or walking down the street. I probably have got the opposite issue, where I probably need to be a bit more proud, confident with who I am as a person, and go, you know what, yeah, I am the CEO of a charity, but as we always know, especially as a woman, those seeds of doubt in our mind of, oh, you gave yourself the own title, what's this, when will I reach a metric that I'm like, okay, I've made it? And it's not on children's lives, it's not on the staff. Where does that come from? And I think people see me as the face of Sparkle, and I know like 90% of our donations come because people meet me. And they hear the story. So the proof is in the pudding from that point. Yep. But there's such a huge team of people that are now behind me that have made it happen, and their stories are just as impressive as mine. Yes, they're different, but everyone's got a story to tell. Mm-hmm. And I now need to try and work out how to navigate that narrative so their stories can be used, but also it doesn't stop the donations coming in as well, because people are naturally drawn to hearing about me, what I've done, what I've achieved. And I always think, this isn't just about me. Like, I go into a panic. Like, I don't want to be this white face of a charity that's in Malawi. This is so much more than that. This isn't even just about Malawi anymore. This genuinely is about I'm living testimony that one person can make a difference. And if I do anything while I'm still alive on this earth, it's to give anyone the belief that they too can make a difference, whether it's Sparkle, whether it's another charity, even if it's at home. And I hope that the more I keep sharing it, the more people will feel encouraged to be able to talk about it.
So that's something I would really like to know more about in how Sparkle works. How are you different to other charities? Because we know of other charities. There are so many other charities in Africa. And where I grew up in Australia, there was Compassion. Yep. And everyone in my family was sponsoring a particular child. And I sponsored a child for a certain number of years until he turned 18. And so how do you differ in the way that you work compared with other charities?
So our big thing is we just don't do one thing. Like, take Compassion, it's brilliant what they're doing. There's kind of education focused sponsorship. For me, I learned the hard way in Malawi that we started thinking, okay, education's the right way forward. Got all the kids learning, and then by 10 o'clock they were falling asleep. So I was like, okay, they're hungry. So I was like, okay, we need to bring in a feeding program. And then once a month, someone would have malaria, someone would have unfortunately died of a different preventable disease. I was like, okay, we're educating and feeding children that tragically are going to die anyway. That doesn't make sense. So then we brought in the medical program. Mm-hmm. And then our attendance was so up and down. I was like, why is that the case? Spoke to the parents, those that had, or guardians, and they said, well, if there's farming, if there's a funeral, it's more important. And we're like, no. This is your future generation. And they said, but what are they learning there? We don't know. We didn't go to school. I was like, okay, let's get them to come to school. So they came and did a day in the life of their child, and they were blown away by it. Our attendance changed, and that's when brought, okay, let's bring community programs in. And then learning about the people, I realised that any parent around the world, regardless of where you are, want the best for their children. So if we can empower the parents, they ultimately will have a positive influence on their kids. So we've got now 4 pillars. We don't just do one thing, we do the 4, and we believe it's a full holistic approach to development. We've created this model that now can be scaled and replicated, not just across Malawi, but across Africa. So what we're doing is working with large organisations and that are specialisms in one of our 4 pillars, and then we're the operational ground handler that delivers the model. We've got really good situation with employees, and that's how we're growing. So there's that part, which is, I'd say, the practical side. There's then, I've got to be careful how I would say it, but the Sparkle. But anyone that goes to visit Sparkle will say there's just a feeling. I can't explain it. I wish I could bottle it up. I'd be a billionaire by now if that was the case. But there is something that we have created that gives people hope. They walk through those doors and you see the children, you see the smiling, and you go, I know what I'm a part of. And I want more of this, and I want to do whatever I can. And either whether they're volunteering here in Dubai, they're volunteering around the world, once they take that initial step to join us and help with a skill set, they get that feeling of purpose. That's all I can put it down to. And they go, wow, we are actually making a difference. We're not just a dirham donation that we get a random thank you. We're not just a person on an Excel sheet. We are somebody that has made a commitment today to make a difference to someone's life, and the reward that you get, truthfully, if anyone ever tells me it is equivalent to a salary, a promotion, it's not. Helping somebody else, you can see all the psychology books, everything it says, is the biggest gift we could ever get.
So I've read that you are the Tinder for purpose. So how that works, you take a skill and you see the need and you link the 2 together.
Exactly. So take you as an example. You'd come to me and say, Sarah, this is my CV. These are the hours that I can contribute, whether it's 1 hour a month, a year, whatever it be. And I go, okay, let's look at the business. Let's look at the need, and let's work out, is there a match? Yeah, there's a match. Brilliant. What do you think about the project? You say yes. What we also do, and I think this is really important at Sparkle, we also go to the team and we say, what do you think? We are never just going to say to our staff in Malawi, or here's this person, because it shifts the power dynamic of, they're coming to help you. Okay. We've had situations then, the Malawi team or different say, actually, we don't feel it's the right fit. But then when you both come together and they both feel it's the right fit, then it's a success. And we've had some of the biggest stories. I mean, Chim, our communications officer, he's just been to Dubai, never left Malawi, never been on a plane. A company went out to video him. He said he wants to find his voice, and less than 6 months later, he's doing a 2-week internship in Dubai.
Amazing.
He's gone back with all the equipment, and now so passionate about sharing the stories of the children and hoping they can get the same opportunity later on.
That's amazing. I mean, most people, when they think of charities, they think, I'm contributing, and you put in a certain amount of money monthly and you say, well, I contribute to a charity. But this is different. This feels different.
Yeah, I mean, without sounding, I don't want to say it sounded big-headed or whatnot, but you're getting something from this. This isn't necessarily that, I've done a good deed. This is, we're giving you something. We're giving you an opportunity to change someone's life. How many times can you walk during the day, or for your children or your family, that someone says to you, here we are, Lisa, do you want the chance to change someone's life? It's not happening, and if it is happening, is it happening genuinely, where you, within 24 hours, you see the impact, you see the picture, you see the kids, because everything is so transparent. We're on social media, and I think we're trying to shift that narrative, and especially here in the UAE, everybody's in a position of privilege, and this is our chance to do something. It's not about the money, it's about the skills, it's about the network, it's about the people coming together. We're building an army of change makers, and do I believe, truthfully, collectively we can change the world? Yes. We just need to put all the pieces together, and we need it more than ever. We can only see what's happening across the world right now, and something's got to change.
So if somebody like me,
yep,
or the next person wants to come and contribute, they want to share, they want to make a change, they want to support you, what do they do?
Either drop us a message on social media, or go onto our website, and there's a Become a Change Maker. You can apply online, and one of my colleagues will get back to you, and the process begins. We have a 48-hour response as a charity, because I do always feel, certainly when I was younger, we'd send a message and no one would ever get back to us. And the amount of people I hear is, we did try and get involved, but we never heard back, or they didn't want my help. We're here to change that. We want to give you that chance, and let it be on your terms that you've not made the difference, and not on ours.
So we just have to reach out to you. And what about the progress of Sparkle? Have you got new things and expansions and things that you've got on the horizon, things you want to achieve?
Yeah, I mean, the need is bigger than it's ever been before, and you always ask yourself, why is that the case? We're throwing more money at certain situations the worldwide, but take global warming as a prime example. Malawi has had cyclone after cyclone, same time of year, March last year. We lost 8 children in the community. I was there, I witnessed it. We're then rebuilding houses, not as a Sparkle, but other charities on the same ground. And then I just got a message 2 days ago, there's another cyclone due. And it's we're continuously having the same impact. And that's not because of anything they're doing in Malawi. That's because of things around the world in developing countries that are having an impact on the whole situation. So that makes it then very hard for us to look at what program structures. But for us, it's scaling. So we've opening our 3rd site this month, which is exciting, our 4th site by the end of the year, and then we aim to have another site in another country by next year. It's been a huge growth for us.
Wow.
We pretty much doubled our income since we registered here in the UAE as a charity, which has been amazing, but obviously it just gets bigger and bigger.
So would you say you get more support here? Is something about this region they're more open to supporting?
Yeah, I think we are a bigger fish in a smaller pond. It's very hard to register a charity here, so there's not that many of us. There's also not that many charities that you can actually volunteer, whether you're a corporate, whether you're an individual, whether you're a student, whether you're, our youngest volunteer is 4 years old. There's something for everyone. And
Beautiful.
I think parents especially identify here how lucky they are, and they don't want their children to grow up necessarily in the Dubai bubble. And Sparkle gives them an opportunity to see there's more out there. We had an 8-year-old teach 100 of our kids how to tie a shoelace over Skype.
Oh, wow.
There's so many things. So if anyone ever comes to me and says, we don't know how we can help, it's the wrong question to come to me, because we always find a way. There's always something.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm looking forward to getting involved as well. I've got my
it'd be
first
great to
meeting
have
with
you.
your team on Friday.
Everyone always says, be careful what you wish for when you speak to Sarah, because she'll have you roped in. But I hope it was always mutually beneficial, and then it never feels like, I'm volunteering today. It's actually, I want to go and volunteer and change your life.
I'm actually wanting to get my kids involved as well. So I encourage it, and I'll share my experience maybe later on a future podcast. But how do you recharge? Because I think what you're doing is very challenging and comes with a lot of ups and downs. So how do you find your own personal space and recharge of your own batteries?
I wish I had the answer to that. I'm learning. I mean, I play a lot of sport. I'm a big paddle player. So I really enjoy doing that. Any form of exercise is sort of the detox. And also surrounding myself, I say, is a big thing. My network is vast in terms of Sparkle, but my actual close circle is very tight. And it's people that have gone on their own inspirational stories and journeys, and I find I'm one of those people that I'm inspired by others, and that's sort of what motivates me forward, and I constantly want to learn. So whenever I can, to listen to a podcast, to read a book, to do anything that kind of I hear what other people are doing, and then I can move forward. And spending time with my family, as anyone who lives abroad here, when you get to go home, I've got nieces and nephews, and just the innocency of seeing them and remembering I am Sarah behind Sparkle. And there is still, a 34-year-old woman that has things she likes, dislikes, and it's been so much of my life has become my identity in the charity, and I'm still trying to navigate what that looks like for me to go on, hopefully, and have my own family and future. And it's so blurred, the lines at the moment. So I'm trying to work out, okay, how can I find the balance correctly? And it's hard because this isn't a job. This is a lifestyle. And not only is it a lifestyle, this is what I believe I've been put on this earth to do. So to see all these other things that people want in their life, it's really hard for me because I just don't get that same feeling. I never get lonely. I never miss anybody. I just feel, what more can I do? How much more can I help?
Wonderful. Well, Sarah, it's been so great to have you on the show. I don't like to cut it short, but if anybody is wanting to get involved, I'm going to put all of the links in the show notes underneath this episode. You can always go to that. And it's an absolutely inspiring story. I know you don't like to be the face of it, but it really is moving, and it inspires me, and it inspires, I'm sure, so many people who are listening to want to get involved and want to help you to take this to the next level. The more people you can support, the bigger the picture.
Oh, thank you. And you've already done your part, by sharing this on your platform, and there'll be more people that will listen and then get on board. So everyone, as we said, could do something, and just thank you.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations, you've just finished another episode of Impact Through Voice. You're well on your way to making a positive impact in the world with your voice. If you want more, head on over to lisahugo.com/podcast for show notes and all the links that we mentioned in this episode. Until next time.